Hi, cool. Welcome to another version of me trying to cook Indian food, hopefully successfully. So what we're making today is we're making a version of butter chicken, which is actually technically better, more authentically known as chicken butter masala. For this, what you're going to need is you're going to need a bunch of butter. I'm not going to use all of that. I'm probably going to use 2/3 of it. You're going to need a knob of ginger, a couple of cloves of garlic, a couple of chilies, some fenugreek seeds, a little bit of bay leaf, a can of tomatoes, some cashews that I have pre-soaked. This was literally like 10 minutes ago. It's just soaking in hot water. That's rice for what I'm going to have with it. This is chicken that has been marinating in my fridge with a little bit of yogurt, salt and pepper, ginger and garlic, some spices. These are chicken thighs. I've got my oven going at 200 degrees. I'm going to shove this in for about 35 minutes. And off you go. And that's our starting point for the cook. Oh, that's way too much. 35 minutes should be plenty of time for this to go. Okay, so how we're going to build this dish is really simple. The chicken's not the most important piece. You can sub it for paneer, you can sub it for tofu, however you want to do it. So how we're going to make this dish is really simple. We're first going to get this going on some heat so it gets hot. Once it gets hot, we're going to go in with a bit of butter. We're going to go in with the ginger, and we're going to go in with the garlic, which I'm going to use this for, which is really simple. Once we cook off that ginger garlic, I'm going to add a bay leaf as well, and then I'm going to add some tomatoes in there, and then we're going to cook off the tomatoes, and I'm going to add some masalas, and then we're going to add, the last bit I actually forgot was some chicken stock. I need some chicken stock, which comes from my fridge and looks like that. Which is going to be even more awesome. What I'm going to do, however, is I am going to blitz these tomatoes in this blender to like kind of get rid of the chunky pieces. So it's a little bit, it's a smoother sauce than just if you were to use those tomatoes in there. You could even use like a hand blender in there. I'm just doing this just because it'll make things a little bit simpler for me. You don't have to use a NutriBullet. You can use whatever you want, especially if your NutriBullet is misbehaving like mine. You probably should use something else, but I'm okay to use this even though it's misbehaving. Yeah, that should be hot enough for us to use now, which is really cool. I'm just gonna give my hand a quick rinse. Now, how we're gonna do this is we're gonna go in with about, actually half is probably better. I don't want to use, maybe we can use some more later, but half is fine for now. I want my friend over here. This is a butter gravy, that's why there's that much butter involved. You don't have to use this much butter. You can use some combination of butter and oil, but this is one of my favorite things to make, so I am going to use a bunch of butter. And also, you know, when you bake, this is going to make like 2 meals for me and my wife, so that's kind of okay to use a bit of butter in that food. Also, today's day 1 of lockdown, so I'm treating myself. So that looks good. I'm gonna go in with my bay leaf. I'm gonna start grating my ginger. You can totally pre-do this, so it all goes in one chunk, but I'm lazy. Oh, that's sputtering. I'm going to stop after that. Bit lighter on the fire there. Chop the end off so it's a bit easier to grate. That one goes in there. That one goes in there. You can, like, if you want to keep it simple, you can use like a garlic press or just some ginger garlic paste. These are all valid substitutions as long as you get the flavor in there. Whew. And that is done. That is a little bit burnt, but that's okay. This is gonna be really, really delicious. Don't be put off if like it's a bit sticky. It's totally fine that it's sticky because we're gonna add a bunch of this water into it, and we are going to use this water as an excuse to scrape up all those burnt bits, which the French call fond. Another really quick tip is actually, if you get to the point where you've got those bits and they're a bit gnarly and you know they're a bit difficult to get out with like a bunch of water or whatever, use beer. Something about the bubbles and something about the nature of like beer, especially the cheaper the beer, the more delicious the food. But I'm not going to do that today because I don't really have a beer with me right now. And also me and my wife are not drinking. So that is not on the cards for us. That is done, and I'm going to rinse that one as well. Why am I rinsing off all this? I'm rinsing off all this because we're now going to make cashew paste, because that's sort of the next bit that's going to go in here. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to bring it up to temperature. You can see that the sauce already has like a really nice sheen to it, because the base of it is butter as opposed to oil. And I'm going to turn the temperature down once I can hear the boiling. Why am I going to do that? Is because we're basically going to cook this now till all the water evaporates and the fat sort of separates from this sauce. And we're also going to season it at this point. Actually, yeah. Once the fat separates, we're going to add some chili powder, and then we're going to cook off that chili powder a little bit to give the sauce like some base flavor. Once we've done that, we're going to add the chicken stock in. We're going to add some slit chilies in, and we're going to cook those, sort of simmer all that till it looks really good. And after that, hopefully at that point the chicken will be done as well. And then once the chicken is done, we're going to finish off everything with a bit of fenugreek and a bit of garam masala, and that will be that. And at some point as well, given the amount of sort of tomato and savoriness of this sauce, we're going to add a little bit of sugar as well, to keep sort of the flavors rounded off. This will take time. This will take around about 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes. Till then we'll make the cashew paste. We've made the cashew paste, so this has been soaking for a while. I'm going to drain it. Leave like a little kind of splash of water in there. Just like a splash, like a tablespoon or two of water. Yeah, that's about it. And this will give us the most delicious like cashew cream ever. Give that a bit of a stir so it's not burning. Gonna pull that out. Oh, look at that. It's a little bit chunky, but I think I have a way around that. I mean, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a hand blender on the rest, because I am worried about that noise that my blender was making. I don't think it's going to be good for this amount of liquid. I think I might need more liquid for my blender. So and this and this. So this is still going. This is not the point we wanted at. Like, as you can see, there's still a bit of water. The fat has started to separate, but this can go like a little bit, like a few minutes more at least, which is just enough time for me to get out my trusty hand blender, the little blending attachment. Would help if it was going in the right way. Now we're cooking. I think the problem with this is it might need a bit more water, but so this is looking very nice. This is sort of where we want to get this to. The smell in here is just absolutely incredible, by the way. Yeah, that should be. Cashew cream. Perfect. So we are going to leave this hanging out here because we might need it in a short while. We'll put the kettle back where it belongs. Give this a bit of a stir. Make sure everything is healthy and dandy. It looks healthy and dandy. This is the point now. Now, if we let this go a little bit more, it's going to turn into like the base masala that we use for most of our Indian cooking. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is, this is the point at which I'm going to add a little bit of chili powder. I'm just going to add this much just because I don't want to make it too spicy. I'm going to add a little bit, just no, I'm not going to add any turmeric. Once I add that, I'm going to give it a bit of a stir. Again, just to cook off those spices. It won't take very long because that is pretty hot. And again, the water content is already lower than it was a few minutes ago, so it is cooking in some fat, which is pretty good. Now that that's going, I'm going to add some of my cashew cream. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to save some for the end to garnish everything. And that is the color I'm looking for. That beautiful tomatoey, light orangey. That's precisely the color we are going for. You can use cream as well at this point. Cashew cream is not like exclusively the thing that will give you this. Cream will also give you the same color. I'm just using cashew cream because I'm not particularly a fan of cream because I'm lactose intolerant, but cashew cream is absolutely fine. Not that I'm vegan because there's chicken going into this, but you can keep it vegan if you stick with cashew cream and some tofu instead of paneer or instead of chicken. That's absolutely fine. That's an option you can avail of. I'm gonna gas up a little bit because now we are going to rehydrate this bad boy. But before we do that, we're gonna get everything ready. So I am just gonna kind of half this. And half this again. You can use red chilies, you can use green chilies. I was about to use a Scotch bonnet, but my wife asked me not to make the food extremely spicy this time around. So I'm just going to use that much. It goes in my food trash. This is beautiful, by the way. So it is sticking a little bit, which means this needs some kind of hydration. And I'm going to stick with as much flavor as I can possibly pop into this. This is bone broth. I'm sticking with like some Thai flavored stuff, which you don't have to, but try and not get that fat bit in there. I'm actually going to try and remove that bit. And maybe reuse it in something else. But there you go. Water is absolutely fine as well. You do not need to use chicken stock. I'm only using chicken stock because I want as much flavor into this bad boy as possible. And secondly, I've got the stock in the fridge and I need to use it. So why not? This is a good candidate for that. Give it a bit of mix. So as you can see, this is quite watery. That will change because of the kind of tomato fiber that was at the bottom. That has a lot of pectin in it, which will thicken this up as it sort of mixes and emulsifies and does all kinds of goodness. So give it some time and we will reduce this to be a sensible thing. In the meantime, we will add our chilies. And we will also add a spoonful of sugar. I'm using brown sugar. You don't have to use brown sugar. You can use whatever sugar you have at hand. Even icing sugar will be absolutely fine. Not that I recommend it, but it will work itself out. Now, this probably doesn't have the right amount of salt because we've just added like a whole bunch of water to this. But I am not actually going to season it just now because I want this to simmer and I want this to reduce, and I will try it for seasoning once it does that. Now, we'd set the timer for 35 minutes. We're at minute 18, which means we've spent about 17 minutes doing this. This will go for another 10 minutes before it's actually done, and I'm going to taste it for seasoning. But otherwise, we're finished. That is basically the base of the gravy. I'm going to come back to you in 10 minutes once this is it. So I'm just waiting for it to start bubbling, and then I can reduce it. You can put the lid on if you want to keep the volume of the gravy the same. I don't want to. I want this to thicken up, so I want some of the water now to leave this part. So I'm going to leave the lid off, but I will reduce the flame once I start seeing some bubbles, once I start seeing this come up to temperature. And I will leave it for about 10 minutes. And once I do that, I'll have a bit of a cleanup. We'll come back so you can see the bubbles come up. Yeah. There you go. Come on, bubbles. There you go. You can see a bubble or two. And that's good enough for me to turn the gas down at this point. I'm going to leave it like that for about 10 minutes. And we're going to come back. We're going to taste it for seasoning. We're going to check that our chicken's finished. We're going to get the chicken in there. And that's it. That's the whole meal. We're going to dress it with some fenugreek leaves, and at the end we're going to put in some garam masala as well. So I will see you in 10 minutes. Back. Hi. Cool. Ooh, is that working? Yeah, that's working. So We're back 10 minutes later. I've pulled the chicken out of the oven. It's brown, it's cooked, it's really beautiful. I'm going to cut these down into like little bite-sized pieces so we can eat them appropriately. That's way too hot for me to handle. And we're going to taste. This is not a very good knife for this prospect, but this is. We're now going to taste the sauce for seasoning. As you can see, it has done like a nice little reduction. I don't need this. Nice. One more. One more. Ooh. That looks very nice. That's the only big piece left, and that's that. Cool. So now what we're going to do is, so as you can see, I mean, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but there's like, because the cashew grinding was a little bit iffy, there's actually like bits in the gravy and it's not as smooth as I want. So first things first is what I'm going to do is I'm going to blitz this up with my hand blender. Hopefully it'll reach all the way. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. Yeah, it will. Okay. That's a happier spot for it to be in. Once I've done that, I'm gonna give it, oh look at that, that is glossy from all the butter that we cooked it in. It is smooth, it's silky, it's thick, it's really nice. Now I'm gonna give it a bit of taste for seasoning. Ooh, it's rich, it's buttery, it's tomato, it's real. It's tomatoey, it's really, really nice. It needs a little bit of salt. Very little, not very much. It doesn't need very much. It's very, very high in flavor. It's absolutely delicious. That chicken stock is just absolutely wonderful. As always, the higher the quality of stock, the better your food is going to taste. I'm going to dunk my chicken in there. That's that. Oh, I lost one piece. This is going to be amazing. So butter chicken is actually typically grilled instead of on the barbecue, like with coal. So it has like a bit of a smoke to it instead of just kind of grilled in the oven as I've done. So this chicken is cooked. This doesn't really need to cook. This doesn't really need to simmer. All we're going to do is we're going to give it some time in this sauce. And the way we're going to do that is phenomenally interesting. We are not going to simmer this. So what we're going to do now is, actually I already got it out. I'm not going to reuse that spoon because that's weird. We are going to add a teaspoon of Garam Masala. That was not a full teaspoon, that much, yeah. We are going to add a teaspoon, maybe a bit more. Oh, that smell is just amazing. Of Fenugreek Leaves. You can get them at Spice Mountain. The seeds are fine as well. The leaves just have a very, very different flavor to them. We're gonna mix all this up in this beautiful silky sauce. And now, because as I said before, the chicken's already cooked, and those spices, with the fenugreek and the garam masala, that's just for finishing. The garam masala is already cooked as well. Like garam masala is roasted whole spices and then ground up. So that doesn't need to be fried or anything like that. Now we're gonna switch this off. I'm gonna leave the lid on, and that's it. That's done. So I'm going to come back and try and get like a finishing picture. I'm going to dress it up with some cashew cream on top and get a finishing picture. But that is my beautiful butter chicken masala done. I'm going to have it with some rice, and I hope you have a nice evening. Bye.